Hi, this is Srinivas. So today we are going to see about compiler and interpreter. So what is this compiler and what is this interpreter, and we will see what is the difference between these compiler and interpreter. As we know that your processor understands only the low level language, but whatever the programming we are writing in high level language. So in order to convert your high level language to your low level language, we are using either compiler or interpreter depending upon the programming language whatever we are writing. So compiler is a language processor which converts your high level language to your low level language as vice versa. Similarly, your interpreter is also a language processor which converts your high level language to your low level language vice versa. So what is the major difference between your compiler and interpreter? See, compiler will compile your entire program at a time, whereas your interpreter will not compile your complete program at a time, but it will interpret a line by line, single line or your single instruction as being interpreted to your low level language at a time. So here the complete program is converted, whereas here a single line by line instructions are being interpreted to your low level language. And the next one is this particular one. So your compiler will compile your complete program, and it will generate an intermediate code or your object file as being generated using your compiler. Whereas interpreter, it will interpret line by line, so there is no object code as being generated in your interpreter. And similarly here your compiler will compile your program and object code has been generated, and all these things are being generated before execution of your program. Whereas here your compilation and execution both will be done at the same time. So an object code is not generated, but compilation and execution will be done at same time. Here, see, in compiler is faster because an object code has been generated, and whenever we run this object code, you are going to get your output or your execution. So it takes less time to execute your program. Whereas here the speed is slower because there is no intermediate object code. So single line by line compilation and execution will be done. So it is a little bit slower when compared to your compiler. Similarly, here memory requirement is more because object code has been generated, and this object code we are going to save in the memory. Whereas here there is no object code, so no memory, or it takes less memory when compared to your compiler. And here in compiler, complete program has been compiled. If there are no errors, it will create an object code. If there are errors, it displays all the errors at a time. Here, line by line execution. So whenever there is an error in each and every line, it will display those errors line by line. So it is very much easier to detect your errors in this interpreter because line by line execution. Here the complete code will be executed. So in order to detect your error, it takes more time, and it is very much difficult to find the errors also. And here this one, it takes less times because execution takes less times. Object code has been generated here line by line, so it takes more time to execute your program. So now we are going to see where we are going to use compiler or where we are going to use interpreter. In some programming language, a compiler is required. In some programs, we use interpreter. So here, what are the popular programming languages where compiler used or your interpreter? So in compiler is used in your C, C++, C sharp. All these programming languages uses your compiler, whereas your programming languages like Python, your Ruby, PHP, all these popular programming languages uses your interpreter. So no intermediate code or your object code are generated whenever you are using these programming languages. Whereas here we use compiler. So in C, C++, whatever we are programming, so compiler is used and object code is generated, and whenever we execute that program, we are going to get your output. So this is the major difference between your compiler and your interpreter. So if you are having any doubts, please comment in the comment section. Thank you.